Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. 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 Can you hear me? Hello, Jenny Brown. Good to see you again after yesterday. Let me turn my volume down over here. And put on my headphones. For those of you guys who were on the healing workshop yesterday, that was really pretty awesome. We had an incredible experience with Ben, who started getting his healing right before we even started the process. That was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Good afternoon. Excellent. I see everyone's starting to show up. This is wonderful. We're going to have a special guest today, Helen. And I'm going to see if I can rotate her picture. There you go. There you go. Hi, Helen. There you go. Hold on. I will get to you in just a second. We're going to get to the opener. And then if all works out, later on today, we might have, if I can make it work, there might be a little surprise from a friend of mine. We're having some technical difficulties today, but if it all works out, it'll be fine. Marcy Layton finally made alive. Hi, Marcy. How are you? May Yang. It's a pleasure for you to have you here. Pleasure to have you here. We got 2 minutes before it goes live, but we got some. It's been a very interesting morning in the studio here. I'll have to tell you about it after we get on the air. And Helen will be. Helen is a special guest of ours today, which I will. The story behind Helen coming here today is pretty interesting. It's pretty miraculous, actually. So I think you're going to find it funny. And I'm still waiting for a specific video document from a certain friend of mine as well. So, living the dream. There you go. Excellent. Marcy, are you the one that said you got your live loving live stream, love living mug? Are you the one? I haven't gotten mine yet. I was kind of curious. I think you're the one who said that you got yours already. Hi, Eden Rose. Okay. See, this one needs to move up. This one needs to move up. Okay. It's going to be a unique day. It's going to be a very unique day. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. I'm waiting to see mine. I wanted one that had a nice look to it. So when I did that graphic, I really wanted something that would pop color wise. 18 seconds until this thing starts. Hi, Gina. How are you? To the Live Loving live stream, a gathering of love-minded people. Well, there's my Bing Crosby opener. I hope you guys are having a great day. It has been a technically difficult morning so far. I've been dealing with a lot of computer stuff that's been a real pain in the bum. But I'm going to tell you a miraculous story, and my guest today doesn't even know this miraculous story. I was dealing with a technical difficulty, watching the countdown clock, realizing that something that was going to happen today might not happen today. When out of the blue, God sends me an email from a lady who has an amazing smile time story. And I mean, instantly, like bam, it was like suddenly it was there. So I sent her a message. I said, would you like to go live today? And she said, yes, I would. Thank God. So, ladies and gentlemen, you and I are going to get. I've read the story, and it is beautiful, and it's a perfect testament to what we talk about here on this show. And so, I would like to bring in my special guest, and I'm going to introduce her and talk to her a bit before she tells her story. So, hello, Helen. How are you? Can you hear me?
I'm good. How are you?
Did you know that you were hopping in right and that was happening at the moment?
No, not at all. I'm on my phone. I'm in my pajamas, completely not ready for this.
It was
But that's okay.
I was sitting there and I was waiting for a video file to use for today, and
Uh-huh.
it just wasn't coming. And the last thing I heard was it was still uploading, and there was 40 minutes left before it was going to be here. And I was going, oh my God, what are we going to do? And next thing you know, I get your email, and it's like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. So your
It's
story.
great.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But that's the way things work out in my life, because I accept that as things that happen that way in my life. So when I read your story, I was like, this is the perfect story for today, being the Christmas experience that we're doing today, because this tells all about exactly what we talk about being love. And so I'm going to hand you your camera and let you tell us your
Okay.
story.
So let's see. I look weird from my point here. Okay, it doesn't matter. So last year, right after COVID, when we all started going back to work, I started going into a pretty deep depression. It was pretty bad. Lots of anxiety, lots of negative thinking. And it was just like I could see the thoughts flying and like, what is going on? My life is great. What's going on? And, but I was like, okay, let's wait it out, see if this will go away. And it was getting really, really bad. And one morning, I was at home. I wasn't working that day, and my daughter missed the bus. And I'm always like, honey, you can't miss the bus. You can't miss the bus. And this morning she missed the bus. I was really low, lots of not good thoughts. And so I was like, okay, let me take her to school. And usually my husband will take her if she misses. I was like, no, 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 you stay home. I'm gonna take her. So we were driving, and on the way there, my thoughts were just, I mean, it was just spiraling. It's like, you gotta end it. You gotta end it right now. You gotta end it as soon as you drop her off. And I was like, what in the world is this? I don't want to feel this way. I don't want this. And all of a sudden, somebody hits me from behind. And I was like, man, I don't need this. Another thing. And so I pull over, we get out of the car, and this super nice guy comes out, and he's like, I am so sorry. I'm a detective. He turned on his lights too. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a policeman. And he said, I'm a detective. I'm so sorry. I was driving behind you. My window was open, and I thought I could smell cannabis from the car. And I was looking at that, and then I just went into you. And I was like, that's okay. It's okay. It's no problem. I was taking my daughter. I'll call my mom. She'll get her. So my mom came, and he said, well, listen, because I'm a detective, we can't just have a regular policeman come and take our statements. So we have to wait for somebody else to come. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So I'll wait for you. And these thoughts are like, okay, you gotta, okay, and they were kind of starting to stop. So we stayed there for 2 hours and we talked for 2 hours, and the conversations were just, I mean, there was minimal damage to my car, like almost nothing, and like nothing on his. I didn't even end up fixing it, but it was so uncanny. Like our kids almost the same age, and the stories with our kids and our spouses, and then we were talking about the police department and how he always promotes kindness, and I was like, well, I always do the same thing at the library. And it was just one thing after another, and we were looking at the sky, we were under the open sky, and it completely, over those 2 hours, my energy completely shifted, and my hope for life returned, because I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't do this anymore. And then it was like, I can do this. It doesn't matter how wild the thoughts come and go, they're not me. And I can do this. And this was a jolt. This was angels telling me, it's not your time. Don't do this. You have a lot more kindness to spread. And here's a kind person who, I mean, just, it was just uncanny. I really think it was a miracle. I think he was an angel who was sent to jolt me and to tell me everything is okay. You got this. I'm here with you for a couple of hours. We're sharing, and your life is going to be full of joy and full of these things. I'm getting goosebumps, full of these miraculous things that you'll do that for others, and you are meant to stay here. So I got help. I got feeling better, and life is good. I share it forward, and it's just, he even came to the library later with his son, and I gave him a special tour. Oh, and I forgot the most important thing, or one important thing. He was kind of worried a little bit that his boss would be upset because he was on the way to work. So when I came home, I looked up his boss, I looked up everything, and I emailed the boss and I said, I just want to let you know that he was amazing. Even though he hit me from behind, I'm not upset in the least. It was wonderful meeting him, and he is such a kind person, and he's an example for how all police people should be. He's just a wonderful person. And the boss wrote me back and he says, I'll put that in his file. That means a lot. And it's just like the little acts of kindness we do for each other and for others, they make a difference. It might be a small thing, but it really, really makes a difference. So I think that's it. Impromptu story, really
well,
quick.
you say that's it, but that is an amazing story, and it shows you a couple of things. Even in our darkest times, God is still love, and and love can sometimes be brought to us in a fender bender.
Yes.
Right. Sometimes the thing that seems so terrible is the thing that's going to take us to the next beautiful place. And the fact that you were able to not only come out of that and then hand it on to him, and then to also commit to carrying it forward to other people as well. So I mean, that's just beautiful. That's just a beautiful, and you've been my miracle today. So I appreciate that tremendously. And it's funny, you talk about him just showing up and being the right person at the right time. And I know that probably anybody who's on this live stream today has done that for somebody else without even knowing it. And it literally is a matter of being in that place and being in that feeling of I can care. I can do something for somebody. I can care about somebody else. And he did it for you, and then you did it for him, and so it made your whole experience a better place. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Helen, it has been an absolute joy and a miracle that you've been here today. And thank you for jumping right on and going through all this craziness with me. This has been wonderful.
Yeah.
I feel great. I feel great about this. Do you feel good about it?
Well, I'm glad. I feel good too.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, and we will talk to you another time, hopefully.
Sounds good.
All right, let me jump over
Bye.
Mike. See ya. Bye-bye. Wow. What an amazing story, and an amazing story to show up exactly when I needed an amazing story for the live stream today. talk about your miracles showing up. That's an incredible one, right? So when I hear that story, it just overwhelms my heart, because I see someone who is struggling. I see someone in so much fear and anxiety, so much depression, and just can't see a way out. And I often say that, sometimes people get into the storm of their own negativity, and they're inside of a hurricane. And when you're inside of a hurricane, you can't see your way out. You can't see your way through. And sometimes it takes a spotter plane on the outside of the storm saying, hey, come this way, you'll avoid the big waves. Hey, come this way, there's a light over here. Sometimes we can be the spotter plane for the people who are so lost in their own fears and anxieties. And that if you think about what this next week is, we're coming into Christmas, and it's an interesting thing, because every year I drive to Delaware to go be with my family. And yesterday we found out here that my son's mother now has COVID-19. And so my son and I are now going into quarantine starting yesterday. And so we're going to miss Christmas in Delaware this year. And it's interesting. I watched my son at 18 years old, and it makes me so proud, because when I told him this, I said, well, we're probably going to have to quarantine. He says, yeah, we can't go to Christmas because I can't bring this to my grandparents, or I can't do that. And so he already was in the mindset of saying we can't risk it spreading with us. And he's like, oh, I'm sad I can't go and see everybody, but it's better. And so I see my son is so caring and so loving, and I love that. And I think that Christmas means Christ Mass means celebrating Christ, and Christ meaning, of course, Jesus or Jeshua. And Helen's story to me is a celebration of his teachings, of being that love, being that caring, being that goodness. That detective was the goodness, was the person sharing love. And just by being there and sharing that love changed Helen's experience, changed Helen's life, right? And then enough so that she wanted to give it back, and she wanted to pass it on. And so that to me tells me that when you start living loving, you start changing the people around you. You start changing the environment around you. And to me, this morning I was like, well, we're going to have an interesting show. And then my technical difficulties stopped me from getting a video that I was hoping to have for you guys today. And if it shows up in the middle of this while we're talking, there may be a moment where I pause you to my Santa Claus hat screen and see if I can get it technically up. But it hasn't shown up yet, so I'm not gonna focus on it not being here. But we're gonna say when we go forward into our lives, we have to remember that Christmas, celebrating Jesus, Christ Mass, right, should happen every day. It's one of those things that we need to honor Christ or Jesus, Jeshua, by doing what he said, by living what he taught, by sharing love with everybody. Love one another. That was the commandment, right? I give you this one commandment, love one another. And that is the goal, is for us to go out and to find that person like Helen who's in a place that's bad, in a place that's negative, and show them just one little inkling of kindness, because you have no idea. It may be that one little bit of kindness that you give that changes their experience. It might be that one thing. They might be at the edge of a cliff, and you might say, you look nice today. And that one little comment may go, hey, there is somebody good in the world. I don't have to go off the cliff. The smallest of kindnesses, the smallest of love that you give is giant. It might seem small, but it's huge for the person who needs to hear it. It's gigantic for the person who wants to hear it. It's gigantic for the person who can't see it. So be the person who's showing it to them. I love the fact that this live stream is happening again. I had a couple weeks where I was very busy building that healing workshop, and it was a lot of work. But when I in this live stream forum, I get to see all these wonderful people on here, talking and enjoying each other, and I get to see all the messages and the questions, and I really feel that it really is a loving community that we're creating, and I appreciate that. So Sherry, I'm sorry to hear you had a fender bender, but at least you're fine, and the guy was very nice. You love. All right. So now I was originally going to start this thing with a Christmas story, but Helen was too generous with her time, and I didn't want to make her wait, so I wanted to get her right off the bat. So I'll tell you my Christmas story right now. It was a tough year at the North Pole. Really hard, tough year. The wrapping machine was down, not wrapping presents. The elves were on strike. Mrs. Claus had a perpetual headache. Santa was getting more and more frustrated every day. Suddenly, an angel appeared, holding a beautiful Christmas tree, and she said, "Santa, what would you like me to do with this Christmas tree?" And that, children, is how the angel ended up on top of the Christmas tree. Thank you very much. Jenny Brown. I hope you enjoyed that. Jenny Brown says, I think we have to go through bad times to know how to recognize and appreciate the good times. Yes, and that is why we are here. I talk about this all the time. God is unconditional love, and we came from unconditional love to be in this place where we can struggle with the fears and anxieties that let us feel separate. But it's by feeling separate that we can experience love fully, because we can't know that love without knowing the opposite. We have to literally come here to feel our separation so we can appreciate love. And the way we appreciate love here is to give it. The way we appreciate love more is to give it, because when you give it, you'll get it right back. It's a very beautiful day today. I'm very excited about everything that was planned. I really was excited to have this video, but it's just not happening. We're having a technical difficulty there. And if I get it, what I'll do is I'll make a separate video and I'll put it up on the YouTube channel to share with you guys, unless it shows up before the end of this thing. But now I would like to hear some of your positive stories, if you have any. If anybody else wants to jump on and share a positive story, let me know, and I will send you a direct link to come right on here live today. If you're interested, just go ahead and say it in the live chat, and I'll see if I can send you a direct link. So anyway, let me go over here and look at some of the questions. If you have any questions, this is the time to go ahead and start throwing them out. I saw Betsy Wagner. John, can you talk about your walks with Jeshua? Do you ever have bad days? Yes, he had bad days. And the story of when he overturned the tables in the temple, that was a bad day for him, and obviously, of course, the crucifixion was a bad day for him. But he got angry. He was someone who did get angry. He got angry, and more than anger, he got frustrated because people were not understanding the simplicity of his message. What he was really doing was he was paring away all of the junk and getting it down to the core essence of the teaching, love and fear, and we're here to be love. And by bringing it down to that very core simplicity, it was too simple for people to get. So he would have days where he would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and nobody was getting it. And he'd get frustrated and angry, and it was less about anger at someone and anger about process, about anger of not being able to communicate it well enough, because it it's so simple, it's hard to understand. People have to say, what's the structure around it to understand something? And it literally is, it's, as I say oftentimes, it's not a thinking, it's a feeling. And so by being a feeling, you have to get out of your head and get out of the needing a modality, needing a way to breathe, needing a symbol to focus on, needing, all those things are just modality. But the reality is the connection is a feeling. And you need to come to that place of feeling of love to get to a truest connection and clearest connection with Source is to just be that vibration, just be that love. And when you get to that point, you don't need anything else. You don't need communion. You don't need baptism. You don't need any of the other rituals. You don't need incense. You don't need mantras. You don't need any of it. It's all very simple. Be love. Be love. And I often wonder why that's why they called John of old John the Beloved, because I think he probably just said, be love, right? He started yelling and screaming and saying, be love. But the idea of this is that when you look at Jeshua, you need to look at him as a man, or a human, just like you and I, someone who had his own struggles, but his struggles were really around the fact that his message wasn't getting through as clearly or as simply or as easily as he hoped it would. If it doesn't, I promise you, if that video, Betsy, doesn't come through during this time, I will share it later, because I would not want to risk the chance of not sharing it with you, because for you guys know, it's one of my favorite people in the world is Tamara Zoner, and Tamara has a lovely singing voice, and she did a Christmas piece for me, and I wanted to have it for today so I can play it for you guys. And if it shows up, it may still show up. The last I saw from Tamara, it's like right at the point of about to be uploaded, but it keeps changing how long it's going to take. And it said 3 minutes to go 40 minutes ago. So hopefully it's still popping, it's still coming. And we'll have that on here as well. Let me refresh my screen to see if it's arrived yet. No, it has not. That's okay. Well, like I say, I'll share it this week as part of the Christmas messages that are going out this week. So guys, what other topics or questions would you like me to talk about? Gina, I love that statement you say there. We really never know how we are and what we say impacts someone else. Be kind, be patient, be love. That's it. That's really it. Because that in itself is the teachings. That is exactly what Jeshua taught, is to go out and just, be that love, feel that love. And I'll tell you something interesting. After I know many of you have heard me talk about the way I meditate, the way I just relax and feel that vibration. It's really interesting. Once you train yourself to really feel that love, that loving vibration, you can actually walk into a room and actively feel it, and you tell yourself, bring it into your body, do that breath while you're standing there, and you will watch people turn and look at you, because people innately feel love, because we come from a feeling place. And when you come in and you resonate that loving feeling, that's one of the reasons why I became friends with Tamara Zoner, because the first day I met her, I could feel that loving feeling coming from her. My friend Holly loves everybody. My friend Sandy loves everybody. You can feel that feeling from people when you meet them. And to me, that's the key, is being that space, being that energy. I wish all of you could have come to our healing workshop yesterday. I had originally planned for that workshop to be 90 minutes, and we got into it, and it ended up, my fault, I'm sure, ended up going 3 hours. And we did an amazing workshop. For you guys who weren't able to attend, I'm going to be creating a video product. It's going to be a product. Now, let me talk about products for a second. I put out products because I no longer have a job, because I dedicate 10 to 12 hours a day doing John of New work, which means I have to put a roof over my head and put food on my table. But I get bombarded by people who are in the fear of money, and I've been accused of many things. I have a video coming out on this in a day or so. I get called many horrible names because I have taken money, and I don't in any way, shape, or form take any of that to heart, because I know it's their own personal lack. And I think that the taking money for my time is okay, and I'm okay with that. But as far as the healing workshop, there will be a product that's going to come out. It's going to be like a small, short course. It's probably going to be like 2.5 hours, and it comes with a workbook and the whole bit. It's probably going to be about $80. I may come lower. You all guys have to tell me if it's too high, because I want to have a very clear communication between us to make sure we can get it out there. But I have to also, I've put weeks and weeks and weeks of time into creating that, and so. Okay, Betsy Wagner. John, have you had any other past life information come through besides your time as John? I'm curious what lifetime you might have been in between then and now, and your soul's progression. I don't have a lot of memories of other lives. I have glimpses of other lives. I remember when I went to Petra in Jordan. I walked up to the Armory, which is the building that's in the Indiana Jones movie, The Last Crusade. That's the Armory. And when I walked up to the Armory, I literally watched myself from as if I was on top of one of the pillars carving it. So I think I was a stone carver at Petra. I think. When I was in Egypt and I was there with a man who remembers being the Apostle Philip, the two of us were sitting on a rock on the Giza Plateau, and I looked over at him, and I swear I saw him. We both were dark-skinned, black, and we had very fine features, very full lips. We had the classic pointed helmet that you always see in Egyptian stuff, and we were wearing full robes that covered our entire bodies that were all nothing but gold and black stripes, and I knew it was the two of us sitting on the Giza Plateau in the ancient times. As far as I did Renaissance festivals. I have never felt more comfortable in my life than when I was in Elizabethan clothes. And when I picked up a sword for the first time, I just knew how to use it. It just made sense to me. When I met a fight director who was one of the top in the world, he says, "You have a talent for this." And so I think that I probably had that experience. Now here's the thing that I find most interesting about the past life stuff. There's a quote in the Bible which I always look at and try to figure out what it means. And Peter points at John and says, "What of him?" And Joshua says, "If I want him to stay until I come, what's that to you? I'm talking to you." So I have often wondered whether the soul of John of old has been reincarnating consistently to stay here until the Christ consciousness becomes alive in this world, because the second coming, or us raising our level of consciousness. And so I have often wondered that. And then I was a little surprised when I decided that I wanted to write a book. Well, there was a book written about me a long time ago by the first psychic who found out that I was an apostle. And that book is out there. It's called John of Old, John of New. I get nothing from that book. That was the decision of the author to make sure, to not pay me for that book. It's okay, though, if you want to get that book. It's on Amazon. It's called John of Old, John of New, The Awakening of the Apostle. And it's by Sharon Prince. And, support her. Get the book if you're interested in that. But understand, I get nothing from that book. So why did they bring her up? Oh, so I decided that I needed to write my own book. I needed to write my own book about my past life. But I've already started writing a book called The Recovering Catholic's Guide to Spirituality, which will not address the past life stuff. But I have started now collecting all my notes and everything to write my book about my past life. Now, when I start to write a book, I like to start with a title so I have something to keep my mind focused. So I thought to myself, well, what about I, John, like I, Robot, I, John? Is that interesting? So I thought that was kind of a cool name. So I went online and I did a search to make sure nobody else had the name. And I found a book called I, John. And it was an old book. And I searched it out and I got it. And I got it home and I started to read it. And it was the book about a guy named John from New Jersey who remembered being the Apostle John. And over the course of the book, he ends up moving to Ohio. And now I'm from Delaware, which is right across the Delaware River from New Jersey. And I have moved to Ohio. And this guy died just before I was born. So I'm often wondering whether the reincarnation of John of old is showing up in various lives of somebody named John. And and then... and am I just the latest, or am I one of the latest? Or, like I said before, are there many of us, for all I know? Two Johns. Yeah, but he died just before I was born, so that was very interesting. Let me hop up here and see some of these other notes. Jenny, I'm not sure what other. I would love to have any suggestions on any workshops people would like to have, and I would love to do more because that was very fun yesterday, and I really enjoyed meeting everybody. Oh, well, thank you, Claire. I have a Patreon account, but I haven't set it up yet because I'm one of it's so weird. I really like to make sure that whatever I'm getting, that somebody's getting something of value or tangible. And so I think the information I'm giving is valuable. Don't get me wrong, I do believe that. But I like something that they can hold in their hand physically. So I much prefer to have a product like Marcy bought the mug. That's great. She has a mug that she likes, and I get a little bit of profit off of that. The painting of Jeshua is the canvas prints of Jeshua that are on my website. You get a print where you can look at Jeshua's face, and I get a little bit of money off of that. So I haven't really I haven't really dug into Patreon any deeper, and to me, I look at Patreon, I'm like, well, I would need to double the amount of content I create so I can have something only for Patreon members. And right now I'm still working so many hours a day. I'm bringing out a video a day, and I'm working on live streams and all kinds of things. So I still trying to figure that out. And Marcy got the painting too. Oh, thank you, Marcy. Let me see. How many past lives do you remember? I don't remember Star Brother. I don't know how I only have those glimpses, so I don't know how many past lives I've had. But I do know, for me, for some reason, that John life is just here, and it's just after the regression, it never fully shut down. I keep getting glimpses of things. I keep getting images. I keep snapping into that regression, and it was very interesting when I consciously chose to go into corporate world. That really diminished. It was very rare I got anything, but when I came back out into the spiritual work, it opened up wide. I was like, holy smokes! Suddenly I got to see everything again and more. And I think it really is just the time. I just think that, and here's the way. When I say it's the time, I think the veil is getting thinner. I think the fear veil is getting thinner, and I think that as the veil gets thinner, more information is going to come across into the physical, because the filters of the veil are not going to be as blocking or filtering out the information so that we can't get it. So, to me, I think that we're all going to start getting more information. We're also going to start getting more experiences. And I could tell you right now, and I said this before, when I did this work years ago, I was called John of Peniel, and I stopped doing the work because it was not. the teachings weren't being learned. But what's interesting now, coming back to it, it's completely flipped. Everyone's all about the teachings now, which before it was never about the teachings. Now it's like, oh, how do I do this? How do I make this practical? And that's the key, making it practical. Do the loving thing in this present moment, because it's the only moment you have. And so that's really the way it works. Marcy, how was I haven't seen the product that people get from the painting. Well, is it? I want to make sure that the quality is up as what it should be. Is it nice? I guess is the question I would ask. Gina says, maybe it was you being John before. Maybe, or maybe it was John of old being another John, or dropping into another John's life. For me, and this is my honest to God belief. It does not matter who anybody was in a past life, including me. It only matters what it is you're doing in the here and now. Doesn't matter who you were, only matters who you are. And so for me, it's extremely important that I am John of new, not John of old. Yeah, I know. The painting, the eyes do follow you. Well, thank you, Lori. That is lovely. You know what? I don't facilitate past life regressions, Betsy. And in the past, interestingly enough, I have done channeling, and some interesting things have come through. And actually, in that book, John of Old, John of New, there are some emails and things that I wrote that stuff came through me for Sharon. So it's a very interesting book. To me it really is. People who've read that book say it's a book about Sharon's experience with meeting me and going through that process. But there are some miraculous things in there, and there are some things in there that I think that are very much mixed into Sharon's New Age beliefs, and that's okay. That's okay. It's her journey. The book that I will be writing about my past life experiences will will challenge some of the New Age dogma and the Old Age dogma, and it'll be an interesting thing. So let's see. So freaks your husband out. Well, good. I'm glad I could freak your husband out, Marcy. Let me check to see whether this file has come through. And if it has not come through. I'm going to assume that it's not going to come through while we're on, because we're done in 15 minutes. Let me check my email, see if it's showing up over here. It has not shown up. So look for a video later this week where I share Tamara Zoner's lovely song. I meet more and more people who are awakening. Yes, Helen, I agree. It's Eki Talasi. Is that your real name, Helen? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. People often ask me, what is it you do? What is it you're doing on your channel? This is the way I define what I do on my YouTube channel, my live stream. I am only speaking my truth. I am only speaking the things that I truly believe. When someone comes to me with their beliefs and my beliefs are in opposition to their beliefs, the first thing I say is I respect your beliefs, because it's not for me to tell someone what they should believe. It's not for me to judge somebody else for what they believe. It's not for me to cast aspersions on someone for what they believe, because they don't believe what I believe. What makes me right? All I ask is that I come on this channel and share my truth, and all I ask is for you guys to, if it rings true to you, work it into your life. If it doesn't ring true to you, then don't work it into your life. I'm not asking you in any way, shape, or form to take what I believe. All I'm asking for you to do is listen for truth in everything you do in life. I find truth everywhere. Shakespeare says there are more things in heaven and earth that are dreamt of in our philosophy, but he also said, words without thoughts never to heaven go. What a beautiful thing. You have to have that belief and faith behind it. You can find truth in everything. Many of you have heard me do my yoga. I'm not going to do it today because my voice is a little raspy. So it's going to be an interesting, attempt if I tried. But, when you think about named must your fear be before banished as you can, and do or do not, there is no try. Those are universal truths. And you can find universal truths everywhere, including the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita and the Quran, the Vakanamrut, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, so on and so forth. You can find truth everywhere, but it has to ring true to you in your heart, because spirituality is a feeling, not a thinking. Get into your feelings, and you'll totally experience a beautiful, beautiful life. Charlie Bannon. Have you heard of Kevin Chin? During past life regression, he discovered he used to be the disciple Peter, similar to you. He's about the teaching rather than who he used to be. Great. I have not looked into him, but I certainly will. Chin, is he Chinese? That would be a very interesting thing to me. If you've ever heard my regression, you would know that would be a very interesting thing to me. So I will look into that. Do you have any thoughts on astrology? Did Joshua or John of old talk about these things? I have been listening to an astrologist, and next year is going to be a doozy according to them. I have no memory of talking about astrology or stars or any of that. I have no memory of that. So not to say the discussion never happened, but I have no memory of that. I do know that when, and this is extrapolation from what I've experienced, I do know that, I'm going to say the quote that I remember. When you seek a path will be laid before you. And when you turn that path back to yourself, you'll find the doorway. I do believe a lot of the modalities are things we put belief in, and we will get our truths through the pathways that we choose. So in other words, if I am a tarot card reader, I am going to get that information, but information is coming through me from source. The tarot card is sort of a focusing tool, right? And I can't tell you so many tarot cards that I've known who've been tarot card readers for years, and at some point they all say, I think the cards are going away because they're surpassing the need for cards, and they're getting to the point where they can believe they can read. They can get the information. Oftentimes the tools themselves become the crutch. Now, I will tell you, I was a guest on a podcast, and I shared it on somewhere. I'll see if I can get it for you guys. It was called It's in the Stars podcast or something like that. And they actually read me. They read my chart, and I was blown away by what they said about me, because they had no idea anything about my past life, any about my stuff, but the stuff that they came up with was like, I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Let me jump over here. And another thing, Jenny, on the astrology thing, right? The future is what we make it. We can make it a doozy if we take the belief that somebody says it's going to be a doozy. We can make it a loving experience if we choose to make it that way. I don't believe in fate or destiny, and I believe that people who are getting, psychics who are getting information, they're reading potential of the moment. But that does not mean we can't change the moment. That does not mean we can't change the direction and change the destination. Kim Carey talks about that all the time. Things change, and basically what you're reading is the potential in the moment, and that's an important thing to realize, is that when someone tells you next year is going to be bad, and you take that belief on, it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy, and you don't want to go there. I will have to, Charlie. I will look him up. It's a focus point. Yes. John, how do we seek out people in real life to get together with who are living this philosophy of love out there in the world? I used to go to church, but I don't anymore. Yeah, I don't go to church anymore either. I don't go anywhere that promotes fear and anxiety and damnation or anything that's negative at all. But I will tell you something. Someone once asked me, where do you go to church? And I say, in the woods, or on a walk, or wherever I am, I'm in my church, because church is where you bring love. And I'll tell you an interesting thing. If you want to find people who are loving and showing you that loving expression, then you have to be that love so they can recognize you too, so they can come to you. People come together. This channel, this live stream, is a place where we're gathering to do love. Hi, Jane the Seeker. How are you? Jenny, that was a big point of yesterday, being the creator of your experience. You're absolutely right. But there's a lot of metaphysical centers. There's a lot of going back to Betsy's question. There's a lot of metaphysical centers out there. There's a lot of I have found, and this is just from my own personal experience, having spoken at churches and metaphysical centers and things of that nature, they all inherently have the same problems, that the egos get into play and hierarchies and cliques start to happen. And I personally believe that you need to, if you go somewhere and instantly feel separate, diminished, or in fear of not getting it right, then get out of there as fast as you can, because it's not just you thinking that way. Someone that the actual environment thinks that way, and you want to make sure that you're going only taking yourself to things that are loving. And it starts once again with you being loving yourself, and that's really important. Let me check to see whether that file showed up again. Nope. So yeah, it definitely is not coming through before this is over. So hanging in there. Good to hear that. May, I love that. Funny how I find myself a much better person than those who do go to church. I love that. Let me tell you an interesting thing. When you say to the world that you remember a past life as John the Apostle, Jewish people do not give you any hassle. Buddhist people do not give you any hassle. Hindu people do not give you any hassle. Baha'i people do not give you any hassle. Muslim people do not give you any hassle. Christian people throw hate and damnation and judgment, and they have chosen that I have been called false prophet and Judas, and I get called all kinds of nasty names, but it's always by a Christian. It's always by a Christian. And I have to say, if you're a Christian, that means you're trying to follow the teachings of Jesus, who I call Jeshua. And if you're dishing out judgment and hate and fear and anxiety, then you are not delivering the teachings. In fact, you're anti the teachings. And I'm not going to say that word, anti-bull, because I don't think I think that word has too much meaning in this world. I think that in reality, churches have lost their way in the fear that they peddle. And I think it really comes down to the fact that we need to get back to, I leave you this one commandment: love one another. That's all it is. And if you can get into that, then it'll be a fascinating experience. Auntie D, great class yesterday. Thanks, John. I've experienced what I'll describe as a release of emotions this morning. I don't understand where it was coming from. but I allowed it to flow through me. Well done. I will tell you, for those of you guys who missed the workshop yesterday, it was a very interesting thing. In the middle of the workshop, one of the attendees volunteered to have a healing live on air, and we recorded it. And what I found really interesting was just before we came to that segment, I felt the presence of love come into my body, and the goosebumps rise just like right now, interestingly enough. The goosebumps rose up inside of me, and I could feel that loving presence. And when the guy got on, the first thing he says, I could feel it already happening, and it totally was. And then people who were on were saying, I could feel it too. And I had 3 or 4 people contact me today with emails saying, I got healed during that time. And so they were feeling that loving sensation. So what is the healing? To take all the modality out of it, to take all the questionings and all the things out of it. Love is a vibration, and fear is an opposite vibration. And when you have pure loving essence, it vibrates the fear out of people, which vibrates the ailment, which vibrates the disease. It's a resonance. And so by creating a resonance of love, you are healing. That's why when the lady touched Jeshua's garment, he said, "It is your faith that healed you." She touched with the belief that it was going to be, and the unconditional love that he was resonating healed her because she put belief in that resonation. So I think it's an interesting thing. It was an amazing, fun workshop. I agree with you very much, Betsy. See, Mei Yang. I was born into a Christian family and now consider myself a Gnostic Christian. Okay, great. That's Gnosis is secret teachings, right? I don't consider myself a Christian at all, and the reason I don't consider myself a Christian is because the word Christian itself is antithetical to what he taught. To be the Christ means to be the Messiah, and Jeshua's whole belief was that he was no better than any of us. And if you look at it this way, if 2 people are leaving on a trip and one person leaves 2 hours before the other person, is the person 2 hours down the road better than the person who hasn't left yet? The answer, of course, is no. The only real difference between the two is one of them has more information. One of them understands the pitfalls and challenges along the road, and one of them has more responsibility to share the pitfalls and challenges along the road to get people to the destination safely. So Jeshua's 2 hours down the road. He understands a little bit more about the divinity, your divinity, his divinity, all of our divinity. And he's coming back and saying, no, just love one another. Just love one another. And then brings it along. And then he's helping us get over those pitfalls and challenges of religion, of fear and anxiety and damnation and dogma and ceremony. He's clearing all that away, and he's saying, just love, just be love. And but he's not better than us. He's not a Messiah. He's not a Christ. He is Jeshua ben Joseph, Jesus, the son of Joseph, a man, born of a man, lived as a man, and experienced life as a man, and showed us that we can experience life as a man and yet still feel our connection to Source and go to the other side. Great. Yeah, that's exactly it. Only seek truth, but realize that you can find truth everywhere. And by the way, that was not a judgment on you. I firmly believe, and I sound like I'm hitting repeat on everything I do. Spirituality is a personal journey. Every person has to find their own pathway and their own belief. Yeah, he's a brother. He's the same. Yes, he said, "I am the." They said, "I am the Son of God. You are the children of God." It's the same thing. Only one of them declared it. Moving on. Oh yes, Ben was amazing yesterday, and he was so excited about doing it. And May, I'm so happy you're here. I love when people come and they're so open to just listening, or discussing or sharing, because it's the sharing between people where we all get to find our truths, we all get to find our beliefs. And like, I find stuff every day. I find things every day that I can lean into for truth. And to me, that really is the key to all this, is that, you look for truth, and the more you look for truth, the more it shows up. And for me, when I look for truth, I don't actually hunt for it. I don't seek it out. What happens is it presents itself. And when it presents yourself, you feel it. You feel it within yourself. You feel that, oh, God, that's true, right? And that is the discernment, the feeling in the body, not the thinking in the head, the feeling in the body. When you feel truth, you feel truth. And that, to me, is the most important thing about a spiritual path, is that you live fully and truthfully yourself. That's why I do the YouTube channel. And by the way, I'm just blown away. Do you know that we are 3 months and 9 days into that YouTube channel existing? We have 1,700 subscribers. We've had over 10,000 watch hours. We have over 75,000 views. And that, to me, is a testament to people hearing the truth, people hearing the experience. It's just an amazing, it's a miracle. It's a miracle, really, that in 3 months' time, we went from not a channel to a completely monetized operating channel. The monetization, gives you the opportunity to have ads. So the ads make a little bit of money. It has super chats, and they make a little bit of money. And it all comes down to that being able to help support the work. So I appreciate the miracle of everything coming together right now and going, hey, this actually works. This is actually truth, and I feel attracted to this experience. I don't get that many chances to experience a live. When it comes to my favorite YouTube readers, so this is a pleasure. Oh, it's wonderful to have you here, May. I really appreciate it. Are angels real? I've done a video on angels, or if angels are real. And look at a couple videos on my channel. One, look at the video that's called I Took a Picture of Jesus, and you'll see other pictures in there where I see angels actually working on a friend of mine. And I have tell the story, and there's also other videos where I talk about the angels who've shown up in physical form as regular people in my life, and who have literally shown up, and one actually saved me from either getting seriously hurt or killed by a tree. And I had one that protected me as a 5-year-old until my family showed back up. So I believe, there was another one who showed up at a real estate convention that I was attending, he and I ended up skipping the real estate convention so we could craft my spiritual journey. And it took 3 hours. We just skipped the afternoon and sat out there and talked spirituality. And then he was gone. I never saw him again. So do I believe angels are real? Yeah, I believe that they're just like Jeshua, who's a little further down the road. They're individuals who are further down the road. Some are more on the other side. Some are closer to this side. But I believe they all have the understanding of our own divinity. And I think that's why they seek out people and help people. Like, for instance, our guest today, Helen, she had an angel show up. Whether he wanted to know it or not, it's probably true. Well, thank you, May. That's lovely. Whoa. Anyway, this has been a full solid hour. We've had a great conversation here today. And I appreciate you all. I love you all for being here. Look this next week sometime for that video from our good friend Tamara, because I do want to make sure I share her lovely voice with all of you. I'll try to put it out as an extra video so that you get it. I'd like to do a special thanks to Helen for being brave on many fronts. First of all, to send me an email saying that she'd like to be on, but being even braver to say, I'll go on now. So everyone give Helen a round of applause. Guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. Yeah, but don't forget what the meaning is. The meaning is love. No matter what you celebrate, the meaning is love. Love of family, love of friends, love of people, love of the world. Be that love and carry that love through this holiday season, but carry it through your life as well. That's the greatest gift you could give anyone. On a historical note, Christmas should be actually in September probably, because when you look at where the stars were in the sky in the Bible and what was blooming in the Bible, that would have been more like a September. So that means that love can be anytime, anywhere, and should be. So thank you guys so much for being here today, and I look forward to many more of these things. I wasn't going to do one next week because I was going to be in Delaware, but I don't know if I said this earlier. My son's mother was just recently diagnosed with COVID-19, and out of caution, we are quarantining for the next 14 days. So we're not going to make our annual trip to Delaware for Christmas. So my son and I are going to have a lovely Christmas together here instead. And I'm sure I did tell the story because kind of I said how much he cared about his own kids. So thank you all, and I will talk to you very soon. Love you. Bye. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream with John Davis. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.